Hey y'all, so remember to like and subscribe. Nia Talks, Talk with Nia, and we're gonna get into it. So I'm gonna talk about what you have to do to become an art teacher. So I've watched many videos and they don't really talk about New York specifically. And in New York, there's a lot you gotta do somewhat. But it's not too hard, but there's a lot you have to do. So I decided to take the path of an art education realm. So I decided to get a bachelor's degree in art education, and I had to do field work. So the first thing you're gonna have to do is your field work. Your field work, you can be paid for it or not. It depends what it is. It depends on the situation. Most people aren't, but I was lucky in my situation and I got paid as an activity specialist on top of having it as field work. And that's because we had a really amazing director at the time. So you have to do your field work, which is about 2 semesters long, and it's not every day. It's not like student teaching, but it's kind of giving you the gist of it. You're working with kids, you have to be there, you have to be on time, that's it. So then you have your class courses, which are what you have to take to become certified or just get your degree. And that's what you gotta do. So you take your class courses, then at the end of your degree program, you need to have at least about, I think it's like 100 to 160 credits, something like that. And then also you have to do student teaching. So student teaching was rather difficult for me, as in not the actual, teaching. I love the students and my first cooperating teacher. But what was difficult was actually not being able to work. So as a black person, as an educator, black educator, it's going to be very hard financially on you, because I feel like me coming as a first generation college student and not having money and needing to work, I worked every single semester except for that one. I worked halfway through that semester and realized I could not do it. You have to be in the school like from 7 to 3 o'clock. And that is a lot for you to do and work on top of that. Is it possible? Sure, you can do it, but your mental health is going to decline if you do so. So you have that. You have to do student teaching, which is 1 semester long, and that's it. You don't have to take any other classes that are, all your classes should be done. But the one thing that you do have, which New Paltz University had me do, was a art education seminar. No one told me about that. So it's, once again, you have to really find everything out for yourself. Don't let them hold your hand. Don't let them guide you or steer the horse. Do it yourself, because there's a lot of things in this video that I'm telling you now that I wish someone told me before that. So that's why I'm putting this video out there, so that you guys can know how to become an art teacher in New York State. So let's flash forward. So now you have all your credits done, your program done. Now you have all your field work done, and you have your student teaching done. So I thought at that point, now I can apply for my certification. No, you need to make sure that you also, here's another thing that I left out before I even made the mistake I made. You need to make sure that you have your DASA workshop. You need to make sure you have your SAVE workshop. And there's another workshop that I'm going to throw in there. I forgot what's the name of it. I think it's like it's like health and safety behaviors. You have to have like about 3 workshops or so. And you could take those during the year. They're expensive in my opinion. Some of them are free, but some of them are like $50. So I would definitely think about that. If you're going into teaching, you have to pay for a lot. I had to pay for a lot. And it's not fair, because I just paid for my certification. So let's get to the last thing you need to do. So I go online to teach. I have everything. I have my fingerprints. And that's another thing. Get your fingerprints done before you do any of this. That's the first thing you should do. I should have put that at the beginning of the episode, the beginning of the video. Get your fingerprints done, because it's really important. You can't teach without them. And yeah, that's it. New York State fingerprints. Fingerprints. So next thing you know, you're going to think that, oh, I can just go apply. No. So with education in general, you're going to have a 5-year period to have an initial certification. So your initial certification is your first certification that you get before you go and get your real certification. This gives you 5 years. It gives you 5 years of time to get your real certification. Then, once you're done with your initial certification, like once you have your initial certification, you can teach for 5 years certified. But once those 5 years are up, you're going to have to figure something out. I don't know what happens, but I know it's not good. You're going to have to figure something out. I think you need to actually get your certification eventually before the 5 years is up. Or they can give extended time, but that depends on the circumstance, I believe. So then you have your initial certification. And one thing I wanted to mention, which was what I forgot to do you need to go take 2 tests as an art educator. You need to take a visual art education test, and then you need to just take a regular education test. These are about $100 each. They're not cheap. They don't have that many time slots in New York State. I think if you're in Dutchess County, Brewster is like the next place to really go and take your test. The rest of them don't be doing testing that much. I don't know about everyone else, but Brewster is where you get it done. If you're in White Plains, you're very close to it, and it's easy for you, but I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys how to take the test because I don't know how yet. I haven't taken it yet. I'll let you know when I pass, if I do. But yeah, you have to take those 2 tests. So you need 2 tests to actually get your certification, which is something that they left out for me. They didn't really explain it to me. They talked about getting your certification and taking those tests, but they didn't talk about that you needed to take 2 tests for the initial certification for a visual arts K-12 education in New York State. So after you've done that, then you need, within that 5-year period, do whatever you want, but you need to figure out if you're gonna get your real certification or not, which is not the initial, it's just your certificate, your New York certification. So with that being said, you have to take tests for that as well. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 1, but I know you have to take some tests for that, or a test. And yeah, so then throw out the initial certification, that's done. Now you have your actual teaching certification that you should have for the rest of your life. But guess what? New York said, you're not going to. You're going to have to do some more than that. So in order to keep your certification, you're going to have to get a master's degree. It could be in anything. It could be in biology. It could be in crime. It could be in psychology. It can be in ecology. It doesn't matter what you get your master's in. But honey, you're going to need to get your master's because they're not going to allow you to keep your certifications without it. So this puts you in another financial hold. As a student or black student or first generation student, this puts you in another financial hole. And that's why I'm taking my time with this. I'm going to use the full 10 years, initial certification 5, and then certification another 5 to figure out my life. And by then I should be about like what? I should be 36 by the time I really have everything figured out. So that's why I'm saying don't rush. Do not rush. That certification will be there. You got 10 years basically when you think about it. You have your initial and then you have to get your certification and you'll have that for another 5 years. Why you need your master's? I don't know, but it's a thing that they want you to have. So for me, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to have my initial certification for the full 5 years. That's what I plan on doing so that I can figure out what I want to do, where I want to go, and if anybody else could pay for it, because I cannot pay for my master's. I just can't. I am in debt. And people say I'm not even in as much debt as them, and I'm like, I don't care. It's still a financial strain on me as a first college generation student and trying to get out there and be on my own. It really strains me a lot and it sucks, but that's life and I will keep on pushing forward. So yeah, you have to get 2 other certifications. I don't know if the initial is mandatory, but I think it is, and I think you should do the initial so that you can give yourself some time to figure out when and where you want to go and if anyone else could pay for it. I know working with city schools, there are different loan forgiveness programs that you can do, and I encourage you to work in city schools. I genuinely love it. I genuinely think that it's important, especially in the community. If you are African American and a minority, it is important to see your face in many schools, especially city schools. Yeah, so then at that point, you're certified once you have your certification and you're off. And that is how you become an art education teacher, K-12 in New York State. It's a long process. I wish someone told me, but I'm telling you now. Have a great day, everyone.